Hello, listeners. Hi, my name is Madhavi, and I'm so happy to have you on UppTalk. You have come to the right place if you want to learn about IT and do really cool things with your hands. We are not just another IT company when I say UppTalk. Think of us as your learning partner dedicated to helping you reach your full potential. We have top notch hands on courses to help you build your business, whether you are new to technology or want to move up in your current job. Let's look around this as our first step towards learning.
Now let's start creating some of what is the security group that we need to have in order to create reports. A report writer is the user-based security group that is by default provided by Workday, which will provide access to create reports. Though, if you have access to report writer, but the security that you have to view the data, we reviewed the security right, the domain security policies and business process security policies. Based on these permissions that you have in the tenant, though you have permissions to create report writer through report writer user based security group. Based on the security that you have on the domains, you will be able to access the data through the reports. If you are not, let's say for example, you have access to create reports but you do not have access to view employee personnel information. But if you give that information in your report will be blank because though you have permissions to create report, that's fine, but you don't have access to use the personal information of an employee. That's where you'll be returning blank data. To actually start creating the reports, there's a task called Create Custom Report. When you have Security Group Code Report Writer, you'll be able to access this task. Without that security group, you'll be not able to access this. The moment you actually access the report, this is the screen that you'll be getting to create reports. Just from this training itself, as how we are learning here, practice standard naming convention that we'll be giving for reports. Because when you go to any of the work deposition and when you start creating report, the name should be in a standard format. That's a basic thing. If you're missing the basic thing, it means that you're not a kind of experienced in actually handling reports. If you are creating like report, if you are just creating with some random names, this is not the name that we actually give for custom reports. There is a standard naming convention that most of the organization will be following CR custom report, ABC organization name, the purpose of your creating report. Let's say if you're creating active employees, you'll be giving active employees. You're giving terminated employees, will give terminated employees. Just while you're practicing, get used to the standard naming convention that we give for reports, that when you go to a position, you'll be used to the naming convention of reports, and that would be easy for you. If anyone sees the way that you are actually naming, they can think that you already created multiple reports. And that's where you are giving standard format of report name. Now I'll be creating a simple report that will see what are the options that are available in simple report and then go for advanced report. Now you have all the report types that you'll be selecting here. You can see what are the types that we discussed, right? We'll be having all the types of reports, and if you see here, simple report. Since simple report cannot be integrated to any other application, we are not seeing many options here. But the moment you actually select advanced report, you'll be seeing the option called enable as web service. This option you'll be getting only for advanced and search report, And among these two reports, only advanced report can integrate data to external system. When you are creating advanced report, if the report is actually the report needs to be integrated to any other system or any other data has to be integrated to any other system, you need to make your report as web service enabled. Then only your integration will be able to identify this report. If you're not checking this checkbox and if you still try to integrate data that you're creating in this report through integration to any other system, that integration will not identify this report. In order to have your report to be associated with integration, you need to make your advanced report as web service enabled report. It's an important point. Web service enabled report can be associated to integrations. If not, your integration will not be identifying your report. Now, since we wanted to go with a simple report, I'll just select simple report. And I told right, we have standard and index data sources. By default, you can see the optimize for performance. Checkbox is checked. When it is checked, you wanted to go with index data source. Whatever source that you're selecting, here you'll be getting all the index data sources. If you are selecting this checkbox and looking for any data source, it means that you're creating a report with the index data source. That's the reason why we got index workers and I don't want it to have index data source. Now I'll select all workers. When I don't check the checkbox and when I look for the data source, I'll be getting standard data source. You can see here the data source type is standard. But the moment I check this checkbox, I'll be getting index data source. Make sure that when you're creating a report, whether you wanted to go with the standard or indexed, how you will know whether you wanted to go with standard or indexed is we don't have any kind of typical calculations that you wanted to do in the report. All you're using delivered fields to your report. In that case, you can go with indexed data source. When you have huge amount of data and that huge amount of data is a delivered type, in that case, you can choose your standard data source, index data source. But when you have a lot of calculated fields that you need to create and a lot of calculations that you need to perform to tweak the data that is sitting in the report, in that scenario, you can go for standard report. Now I've choose simple report now. Now my requirement is I wanted to have only active employees in the report. I don't want to see any terminated employees, any employees other than active employees. I don't want to see in my report. I have multiple data sources which actually pulls active employees. There are multiple ways. If I'm going with this data source all workers, what this will be looking for? This will be looking for all the workers. It will look for active employees. It will look for terminated employees. It will look for contact actors. It will look for employees who went on leave. It will look for retirees. All these are worker types, right? Since you selected all workers here, your report will be looking all workers. But you wanted to have your report to only return active employees. There are multiple. If you're choosing this all workers, it is a different way of getting active employees. But it is a delivered data source that Workday provides. All active employees. Take this data source the moment you run the report. This will only look for active employees and returns only active employees. Now, since it's straightforward, you will be easily understanding. Since I've chosen active employees here, I'll be getting active employees. Let's do different way. I wanted to go with all workers. Let me select index data source, all workers, and see how it works. Now I've chosen index data source, all workers, but my requirement is to have active employees to be returned in the report. The moment you click on, you'll be getting into a report definition page. As I said, right index data source will have inbuilt filters. This is how we will be seeing index data source. And this is a filter at source level. You will be having index data source for standard data source. You will not have this data source for whatever you're seeing. This data source filter will not have a standard report only for index report. You will be seeing this one. Now, what is my requirement? I need to have active employees. I can see whether source provides active employees or not. The source is not providing active employees, is looking for all the employees, but we have multiple options here. It indexed excludes workers from the organization. Time of approvers unmatched time of events, which are nothing but time of when employee submits the time, when that is not matching when time of approvers, the events await action. If you are playing any leave and that is sitting with your manager who has not approved yet and it is waiting for the approval. In those cases, this data source will directly pull those employees. That is a wonderful option that we have with index data. If you go with standard data source, you need to actually do hard-coded filters in order to get this kind of data. But index data source, you have filters straightforward that is provided by the data source. You can choose whatever you wanted to have multiple options, worker who has not submitted time, who does not have any time entry, all these things you can actually do. My request now is to have all active employees. Also, the one more thing that we need to understand with simple report is you cannot add any related business objects to the simple report. And that is the reason why you're seeing only field option that you can give. You can just give the fields, but you cannot change the business object. But in advanced report, you can add n number of related business object to the report. But in a simple report, you cannot do that. That is one of the reasons why we go for advanced report, why we are not looking for simple report. Now I wanted to have employee ID name of an employee. When you are actually looking in this training tenant, make sure that you're selecting the right field. If you go here, you'll get to know this is not a right field. Only in this training tenant, but in actual tenant, you'll not see this kind of thing. This is sitting in candidate business object, but we wanted to have worker information right. This is actually delivered field only. This is delivered field only, but the object you're seeing here, candidate information. This object holds candidate information. If you give this full name of the candidate, you'll be getting, but we wanted to have worker name, right? This is worker from worker. Business object, we are getting full name of an employee. Now, what is our requirement? We need to have active employees, right? I'll just select the Boolean value delivered, field active status, whether employee is active or not. Hire date. Behind it when employee has joined. Here also, you need to check whether we are taking the delivered field or not. Location. And age of an employee. These are straightforward fields. That is the reason why I'm actually taking, but we do not have straight fields. Probably calculated will be requiring most of the cases. Select only analytical indicator. Also, you remember, since we have selected index data source, all the fields that you're taking here are indexed fields actually. You can see here indexing information. All these fields are indexed fields. That is one of the reasons why we mostly won't go with index fields, because always we don't need index fields. We will not have some of the fields of index type. Will not most of the cases choose standard report, but when there is a straightforward requirement which will have indexed fields and there is no need of any calculations, you'll go for standard report. Now, I'm running this report now. My requirement is to have all workers, all active employees. I've not added any filter. We'll see how this data comes. After this, we'll see what changes we can make to this report in order to get active employees. Now running this report. These are the built-in prompts that standard data source have where you can select the filters that you wanted to have. If you're not selecting, it will run for everyone. But if you have any specific criteria, the worker type should be regular worker type, should be contractor, worker type should be employee. All these things you can select that. We'll be getting that appropriate data. Now I'm not selecting anything, just clicking on open. It will run for all the employees. And once the data is returned, you will see this thing. This is the data that we got. And here you can see active status, the Boolean value that we have given right. This actually tells who is an active, who is not active. If you are selecting yes, you will be getting active employees. I can select no to see how many inactive employees are there. Out of 50 employees in this tenant, I'm actually filtering inactive employees. These are all 23 inactive employees are there. Now what I wanted to do, I don't want to do filter like this. The moment I actually run the report, I wanted to have active employees. I don't want these 23 employees to be coming in the report. What I can do filters in the report. What do you add filter? Your filter should say that you wanted to return only active employees in the report. How you can add that? You need to go to the filter option, add a row. And since we have seen the active status field that is actually getting active, I will take the same field active status. Since there is a Boolean value true or false field you're selecting equal. Active status equal to. If you select this check box, you're seeing that you wanted to have active employees. If you're not selecting this one, not checking this check box, which means that you don't want to have active employees. If you're not checking this one and clicking on, you're telling this report that you wanted to have active employees. Other than active employees, whatever the status of the employee should be. Since we are looking for active employees, I'm checking the checkbox, clicking on. Now my report will be filtered only for active employees. Now, when you're running this report, you'll see multiple options here, right? Run external. When you're running this report, it will run for all the employees. But when you want it to test the report is populating correctly or not, when it is a huge amount, you don't want to take that much time to test the data. You just select the test. That top 10 rows of the report will be returned. I won't select any prompts. I'm just clicking on. Since I've selected test, I'll be getting 10 rows of the data through which you can see whether data that you're getting is correct or not. Employee, you're getting correctly name. You're getting correctly active status. You're getting S or no hire date. Correct location, gender, supervisor, everything you're getting correct. Now, if you're sure that the report is giving all the information that you need, you'll be running this report in non-test mode. When you're running non-test mode, when you're running out of test mode, your report will look for all the employees and it will return all the active employees. Now those 23 employees has gone out because we filtered with active employees. Now let's filter with no. It should say nothing because we've filtered at report level. Since we filtered active employees, our report is returning only active employees. That is the reason why, even though I filtered in the output for inactive employees, nothing is coming. No items are available because your report is returning only active employees. That is the reason why, when we try to look for inactive employees, we are seeing nothing. Now, since we have created an active employee simple report, we are able to get active employees. Now I wanted to convert this custom report of simple report type to advanced report. Because I am in need of related business objects, and there is a reason why. In order to have simple report, because simple report does not allow any related business object, I wanted to go with another report type. For simple report, you have an option to convert your simple report advanced report. No other report can be converted from one type to another type. Only simple report have an option to convert type from simple to any other. Now, since I wanted to have this to be returned in advanced report, there is an option to copy your simple report to advanced report. You can see here change advanced report type, change report of simple to advanced report type. You will be getting an option which you can actually convert your type of report from simple to advanced. The moment you actually convert this, we will see a lot of options that we were not seeing in simple report. Now see our report of simple is copied to advanced report. And that is the reason why you're getting filter option, you're getting prompts, you're getting output, you're getting share options and advanced options. Whatever advanced report have, the moment you copy simple report to advanced, that will be getting all these options which you can give and play around with the data. Any question? Anything not clear? Now, since I've converted this to simple to advanced, I'll be running this. Now we converted this to simple to advanced. And we ran all the advanced report. Conversion is completed and it is reading the data. Now, since you have converted this to simple to advanced, you have an option to add multiple related business objects to this report. Because you're not in the simple report, right? You have converted your simple report to advanced. That is the reason why you're able to add multiple business objects. A simple report will not be able to add the related business object. Now let's say I wanted to have dependent information of an employee. Along the worker information, I also wanted to have dependent information. Since dependent is related business object and this report type is advanced, I should be able to select dependent business object and dependent information. What is the related business object here now? Dependent is the related business object. I just add independent. Like this, you can add number of related business objects. Advanced report can handle any number of related business objects. Now what it should return? It should return dependent information of an employee. Since it is returning dependent information, the count of the records has increased from 6,000 to 7,000. If you go to the last columns, you should be seeing the dependent information. Let me extract Excel and see whether dependents have got returned or not. Now I was able to extract the output to Excel, filtering to see if I can get dependent information. This is in production mode. I'm not able to edit. I'm able to add filters. Now I was able to add filters. Now let's go to dependent to see whether we have dependent information or not. We have dependents. Let me unblank this thing. These are all the dependents. Dependent relationship is child, a spouse, parent, expert. That are all we got. Since we've added dependent related business object, we were able to get dependent information here. That's how you can add any number of related business objects to the report. Now, since we have taken all workers and we've added a filter of active status, we were able to get active employees. Now let's say I wanted to return only contractors. I don't want to return any other employee other than contractors. What should I do? Tell me. Based on this understanding you got, now tell me, in order to return only contractors, what should I do? You can put a filter here. Here in this spreadsheet or report, because we've actually returned active employees here, right? The report we've created is for active employees, right? This is for active employees. This will not return any other type. We can add a field here. What field? Contractor. I wanted to have. Since we wanted to have active employees, we went to workers data source and filtered with active employees. Now, I don't want active employees. I wanted to have contractors. What should I do? I wanted to have contractors. There are two ways. Since you have actually had this report that is looking for active employees, you can change your filter to look for contractors. That is one way if you wanted to get contractors in the same report without active employees. But we'll see the both after this. We'll see how we can get both the status after this. But now I wanted to have only contractors. One way is I can edit the report. Here I have kept active status right. I don't want active status now. I only want contractors. We have a delivered field called worker type. Now, since you're adding a filter from all workers index data source to return only contractors based on the filter. Now clicking on. If I run, what will happen now? I'll be getting only contractors. We got 193 members of contractors. How we can validate generally? Because since your report is accurate, it is returning. But just to validate, you can actually check in one day. You will see in the bracket C. When you see in the bracket C that employee is contracted. That's how you can filter your reports. Filtering report maximum in every report. Because you'll not get a very easy report. Just add fields and run the report for the data. Most of the requirements will be expecting some data to be filtered. The example that I'm referring right contractors terminated active. Now this is returning active employees. Now tell me I wanted to return active employees on contractors. Both I want. I wanted to get both active employees, contractors. I wanted to get. What should I do? We'll add both the filters. We'll add both the filters in the report field. Active status is equal to yes and worker type is equal to contractor. Now we got a 93 contractor, right? What I'm going to change now, I'm going to change. After status is equal to yes. Now here one thing that you need to remember. When you're filtering with multiple conditions, your operator here that you're choosing is very important. Now you wanted to have active employees and also contractors. Right. You can actually go with under operated, or you can also get active employees. Sorry, contingent with our operator. You'll be getting active employees and also you'll be getting active contractors for this, or we'll do both conditions. And we'll do one condition on. It will look for what if I give under here, what it will look now. If I give under operator, it is looking for active status is equal to yes. When worker type is contractor, it is not treating this as a separate condition. Since you have given under operator here, it is taking as active status is equal to yes and worker type is contractor. What it is looking for active contractors, not for active employees and contractors. If you change operator to are, it will treat this as two conditions. What it will be doing now, it will look for active status is equal to yes for all the active employees. Are you also wanted to have worker type is equal to contractor? Understood the difference? Any confusion? Tell me, is it not clear? Is this making sense or not? Can you please explain it again? And now I'm going with under operator here. What this is doing, now report when I run this, checking for active status for worker type is equal to contractor. Active contractors, this report will be looking. Since you're giving under operator, which report will treat us this entire two filters for as a kind of single criteria. But if you're changing this to are, it will look for you wanted to have active status of employees with active status. Are you also wanted to have employees whose worker type is contractors. Now we'll run with the both cases. But just try understand the filter that we are doing. Try to understand the filter we are doing. Now, what will this tell me? If I keep and what this will do. Now I'm giving both lines in a single condition with under operator. It will look for active status and whose worker type is contractor. Now let's run this and see. We'll just validate the count. And whether the count is differing or not, we'll just validate that we'll get a clear understanding. Now we got 92 employees who are active contractors. Now, since the report is treating this as a single filter, is returning 92 employees. Now what I wanted to do, I wanted to have both active employees and also contractors. I wanted to have, what I'll do, I'll be changing the report filter with our operator that your count the data would be increased because you are not restricting your contractors to be active. Filter or active status of employees, or you also wanted to have contingent workers. And now there should be at least minimum difference between the count on 90 hours active contractors. Now we'll see how many will get datage, will get more. It is running for maximum goal. That is the reason why it is taking time. Understood the difference between the first run that we have done and then the second run that we are making with under operator and our operator. Yes, Amit got. I can see 7, your 50 employees we got because it is looking for all active employees and also it is looking for our dominated. Both the status we are getting. This kind of filters, you will be getting filter requirements. You need to actually, if you're knowing the concept, whenever someone asks you, I wanted to have closed positions and also I wanted to know field positions in a single report. What you will do? You will do same kind of filters. You wanted to. Let's say we'll create most of the complex reports also, but this kind of filters you need to understand. This is simple. There is nothing miracle here, but just understanding difference between our operator. Are just one drop down, but that makes a lot of difference in the report. Your result, output of report will be different in a huge way. Now you have seen when I have given under operator for both the filter conditions, I just got one employee's what it was looking for. Active contractor, it was looking. Now I just changed R. What it is looking for. It is looking for most of the data of active employees and contractors in the system. It is returning both the cases. Clear any questions for? Now I wanted to add to the same report terminated employees. What should I do? For the same report, I wanted to have even terminated employees. What should I do? We'll add a filter terminated. Yes, that's correct. But what should be the operator? How? And we are having a separate one, right? Separate requirement. It's not something you know that we wanted to include, but this one. We wanted to have other than terminated, other than active, other than contractors. We also wanted to have terminated employees. If I'm giving under operator, that will make difference actually. I'll go for one more R condition. If you are giving and what it will look like, what it will treat us and active workers or worker type of contractors. If you're adding and termination, what it will do is it will treat second one, third one as one condition and it will return terminated contingent workers. If you're giving and here and giving terminated status and looking for terminated employees, it will treat this as one condition and then it will look for worker type is equal to contractor, where the termination status is equal to yes. In that way, it will look different. But we wanted to have active contractors, and also we wanted to have terminated. Since we have 3 employee different types, we need to have one more operator. Since this is an index report, most of the standard fields will not. We will be taking only index fields and filters. Termination date. Since this is index report, I'm not getting standard field. That is actually that we look for termination status. What I've taken termination date. I'll mark this termination date. It's not blank. When I'm saying termination date is not blank, it will look for employees whose termination is not blank. It will look for all the terminated employees. Now, these are 3 conditions. To understand easily who is terminated, I'll add terminated field here. That will get to know terminated employees. Since this is an index data source, we are not seeing that delivered. This is one of the delivered field, I think. Work system indicates. I think this is a calculated field. But I think this actually filters. This actually says whether employee is terminated or not terminated. We will learn how to create these calculated fields after. For now, I'll select this one, which will actually tell you whether employee is terminated or not. Now the report is looking for 3 conditions: active, contactless, and terminated. When you're actually practicing, consider all these things. This will help you to understand the logics. These are just simple what we're taking. But in our further session, based on this, we'll be creating some complex scenarios also. Just try to get complete understanding on these small things. And that when we go to complex use cases, you'll not feel confusion. You'll not feel that you are not understanding. Now, since we already added terminated, we'll see whether we've got terminated employees or not. There are no terminated employees. This is why we are not getting any termination status, terminated employees. It's returning blank. It's written, not blank, right? It's written, not blank. Written, not blank. This is not looking for terminated employee because system does not have terminated employees. Just try to explore with multiple options with different cases, giving this, not giving this again, giving this and all. Just try to understand concept. Please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@therightuptalk.com.